The trade station was loud. Ships landed, engines hummed, and voices from every species filled the air. Jackson Cole stepped out of his cargo freighter, tired and dusty from a long trip through dead space. He had been flying alone for weeks. He just wanted a drink and maybe some silence. But something was wrong. Even in the noise, he felt it. Someone was watching him. He turned his head slowly. Across the large docking bay, near the corner wall, stood a figure, tall, still, wrapped in a long silver cloak. The hood covered most of her face, but not her eyes. Her eyes glowed soft violet. They did not blink. She was staring straight at him. Jackson frowned. He had seen strange aliens before. Many wore cloaks. Many had odd eyes. But something about this woman made his skin tighten. It wasn't fear. It was something else. Something pulling. He looked away and walked toward the market hall. Maybe she wasn't looking at him. Maybe he was just tired. But when he stepped inside, he felt it again. The weight. The eyes. He looked back. She was following him. Not fast. Not with anger. But slow, calm, like she had all the time in the galaxy. He picked up his pace. Turned corners. Walked past noise, smell, lights. Stalls with alien food and tech. Still, he felt her presence behind him. Always just out of sight. Then, as he passed a quiet alley between two stalls, a hand touched his arm. Jackson spun, ready to draw the small blaster on his hip, but it was her. The alien woman stood there, only a few steps away. Her face now visible. Smooth silver skin. Long white hair like threads of light. Her eyes glowing like twin moons, locked onto his. "I don't want to harm you," she said softly. Her voice was gentle, musical, clear. Jackson didn't move. He didn't lower his guard either. "Then stop following me," he said. "What do you want?" She looked around quickly, then back at him. "You," she whispered. "I want you too. Take me with you, please, right now." Jackson blinked. "What?" "They're coming," she said, voice still calm, but urgent now. "They'll take me. If they find me here, you must hide me." "Who's coming?" he asked, looking around. "I don't see anyone." "You will," she said, "soon." "I'm not a taxi lady," he replied, keeping his voice low. "I don't know you. I don't get involved in. I will give you more than they ever will," she said suddenly. Her eyes locked into his, and something changed. The air around her shimmered slightly. Like heat, his thoughts slowed for a moment. A memory surfaced. His brother, gone in the war. Then his mind snapped back. He stepped away. "What are you?" She shook her head. "No time. Please, if I stay here, I die." There was something honest in her fear. It wasn't loud. It wasn't fake. It was quiet, real, and deep. Jackson looked around the market. A group of armored figures entered through the main gate. Not human. Tall, gold-plated suits. Their eyes scanned the crowd, the woman backed against the wall. "Do they know your face?" he asked. "No," she said, "not without the hood down." He sighed, cursing under his breath. "Fine, follow me." He led her back through a different path, using shadows and crates to move unseen. Once near his ship, he waved his ID, and the dock guard let him through. The freighter's ramp hissed as it lowered. "Get inside," he said. She hesitated. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet." As the ramp closed behind them, Jackson leaned against the wall. "You better explain who you are, and why I just risked my ship for you." She pulled down her hood. "My name is not one I can give. Not yet," she said. "But I'll make this simple. I escaped from something powerful. Something evil." Jackson narrowed his eyes. "And now they want you back." She nodded. He crossed his arms. Why me? Her eyes softened. Because you looked at me ... like I was not a weapon or a thing. You looked at me like a person. That's rare. That's ... everything. Jackson Cole sat in the cockpit of his freighter, arms crossed, eyes locked on the strange woman. Now sitting across from him, she sat still, calm. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the soft lights of the ship. Her violet eyes watched him carefully, as if reading every part of him without moving her gaze. You said you needed help, Jackson said. Now I've brought you aboard, so tell me who you are. Real name, real reason, no more games. The woman looked down for a moment, her long, white hair falling forward like a curtain. Then, quietly, she said, I cannot give you my name. Jackson's jaw tightened. Why? If I speak it, she said softly, they'll hear, the ones chasing me. My name is still connected to the system they control. If I speak it out, loud ... they'll find us in seconds. He blinked. Your name is a ... tracking device? In a way, she said. In my culture, names are more than sound. They're coded with genetic patterns, frequencies, and rank. Speaking them activates the bond. He leaned back. Well, that's insane. She smiled slightly. To you, maybe, but it is real. Jackson rubbed his face. This was more than he bargained for. He was a cargo hauler, not some interstellar spy. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something deep and old surrounded this woman. He stood up. You need a name I can use. Something to call you that won't call them. She nodded. Choose one. I'll answer to it. He looked at her for a long moment, then said, Elara. That name sound all right? The woman smiled again. It sounds gentle. I like it. Jackson looked out the small front window. The stars seemed quieter now, but his mind was anything but. All right, Elara, who exactly is hunting you? She looked down again. Her fingers moved slowly across her. Own wrist-tracing glowing patterns in her skin. Symbols, like a language written in light. The Council of Vaith, she said. They call themselves guardians of order. But they are slavers. Tyrants. I was born into their priesthood. Raised as one of their tools. Jackson frowned. You're saying you were trained by them? She nodded. Used by them. My kind. Can manipulate energy, time, even thought. The Council takes those born with high gifts and binds us with oaths, codes, rituals. We serve them until we die or escape. And you escaped. She nodded again. How? Her voice dropped lower. I watched one of them torture a child. A girl like me, just younger. She didn't survive. That day, something in me broke. I shattered the bindings, burned the temple, and ran. Jackson exhaled slowly. She continued. Now I am hunted across every system where the Council holds power. They fear what I know, and what I am becoming without their control. He looked at her again. Really looked. Elara didn't seem dangerous, but something inside her, something calm and deep, felt powerful. Too powerful to be ignored. You said you could give me more than they ever would, he said. What does that mean? Elara looked up slowly. Her eyes glowed brighter now. I can show you what they hide. I can teach you things your kind was never meant to know. Or I can simply stay silent and let you leave me on the next dead rock. You pass. Jackson didn't speak for a long time. The hum of the ship filled the silence between them. Then the console beeped. He moved forward, tapped the screen. A broadcast was coming in, encrypted. Off-grid. Jackson frowned, opened it. It was a warning. A private bounty. Fugitive. Class 7 energy manipulator. Female. Silver-skinned, white hair. Travels alone. Reward. 50,000 credits, dead or alive. and below it, a blurred image, low quality. But it was her dot, Elara, turned slowly. She had not moved. But her face showed pain. Not fear, not surprise. Just pain. You saw it, she said. Yeah. I understand if you want to turn me in. Jackson didn't answer at first. Then, 50,000 credits is a lot. Yes, but somehow, I think selling you out would cost me more. Her eyes widened slightly. I'm not a good man, he said. I've smuggled things. Lead, fought when I had to. But I've never turned someone in who looked me in the eyes and said, please. That's where I draw the line. Elara closed her eyes. When she opened them, there was a quiet warmth inside. You have a good heart, she said. No, Jackson replied. I have rules. That's different. But in his chest, something flickered. Something new. Something dangerous, because deep down, he knew. He wasn't just protecting her anymore. He was starting to care. The ship floated in deep space, surrounded by darkness. No stars nearby. No planets. Just silence. Jackson Cole sat in the pilot chair, reading the same bounty notice again and again. The reward for turning Elara in had gone up. 50,000 credits had become 75,000. That was more money than he could make in 5 years. But the message wasn't what bothered him the most. It was the timing. The broadcast had arrived within minutes of her stepping aboard. Someone was watching, and they were watching him now. He stood up and walked through the narrow hall toward the back of the freighter. As he passed the engine room, the lights flickered. He stopped. A soft hum filled the air. Not from the engine, but something deeper. He stepped inside. Elara was standing in the center of the room, arms raised. She didn't notice him. Her body was glowing faintly, silver and blue light pulsing through her skin. Around her, the air bent. Jackson blinked. The metal walls behind her looked twisted, warped, like they were underwater. The cables hanging nearby were slowly waving, yet there was no wind. And the light itself, rays coming from the ceiling, flickered, then curved toward her hands like rivers pulled by gravity. He took a step forward, and the sound changed. The hum grew louder. A low echo filled his ears. Elara? He said, careful. Her eyes snapped open. The glow stopped instantly. Everything fell silent. The light went back to normal. The room looked still again, but Jackson had seen it. Were you bending the ship? He asked. No, she said calmly. I was bending the light around it. He blinked. What? If they're tracking us, she said, I can make us harder to find, like a ripple in the ocean. If the ripple moves just right, no one sees the wave. Jackson stared at her. You're saying you can cloak the entire ship? Not forever, she said. Not while I'm weak. But I can hide us for now. He leaned against the wall. That's not normal. She gave a soft smile. I'm not normal. You're not human, that's for sure, he muttered. No, she said. But that doesn't mean I'm your enemy. Jackson crossed his arms. People fear what they don't understand. Then they'll fear me, she said. There was no pride in her voice, no anger, just truth. He looked at her again, really looked, not as a problem, not as a reward, but as someone standing alone in a galaxy that wanted her gone. You're scared, he said. Elara looked at him, surprised. I've seen fear, Jackson continued. I've seen soldiers hide it. Kids fake it, but you carry it differently. Quiet, like someone who's been hunted too long. Her eyes softened. I have. He stepped closer. What exactly are you, Elara? She paused. Then, slowly, she held out her hand. Touch my skin, she said. Jackson hesitated. Why? She asked. Just do it. He reached out and touched her fingers. In that moment, everything changed. He saw stars, not just stars, but systems, worlds, memories. He felt wind from a golden cliff, heard a language that wasn't sound, tasted air from a dying sun, saw her young, trained, standing before robed figures who told her she must become their vessel. Then a scream, her own, as they poured energy into her veins like liquid fire. He pulled his hand away, gasping. What was that? He breathed. A memory, she said, shared through touch. My people do not lie with words. We show truth. Jackson looked down at his palm. It still glowed faintly. You're more than just some runaway. Yes, she said. You're a living weapon. Her face turned cold. I was. Not anymore? She shook her head. Not if I can help it. He looked at her, heart racing. What do they want you for now? To put the weapon back in its cage. The ship beeped suddenly. Jackson turned to the panel. A red alert blinked. Unknown vessel approaching. No ID, no signal. He tapped the screen. A small dot peered just outside their sensor range. They found us. He whispered. ELAR. Hay stepped beside him. I can hide us, she said. But only if you trust me. Jackson looked at her again. Then at the screen. You already risked your life for me, he said. Time I returned the favor. He pointed to the main seat. Do your thing. She stepped forward, placed her hands on the controls, and as she began to hum, the ship's light dimmed. Outside, the stars seemed to vanish. They weren't running. They were disappearing. Jackson Cole sat alone in the dark cockpit. The stars outside looked distant, quiet, too. Quiet. They were hidden for now. Halera's strange light-bending ability had cloaked the ship. The tracking vessel that approached them passed by, unaware. Jackson had watched it on the scanner, smooth, silent, deadly. The kind of hunter that didn't speak, didn't warn, just fired. He leaned forward, resting his arms on the console. His heart still beat fast. His palms were damp. He had seen strange things in his life. Pirate raids, alien storms, smugglers with more tech than brains. But nothing like her. ELARA. She wasn't just alien. She was different. Like a star in human skin. She entered the room quietly, her steps silent, her eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. It's safe, she said. For now. Jackson muttered. He didn't look at her right away. I need answers, he said after a moment. Real ones. She nodded slowly. You've earned that. Who were those people in the memory? He asked. Those robes, that room, that pain. She moved closer. Sat beside him. My keepers, she said softly. The Order of Vaith. They trained me in a temple made of crystal and silence. I was chosen as a child, told I was special, gifted. You are, Jackson said. I've seen it. No, she whispered. They didn't want me. They wanted what lived inside me. The energy, the control. He turned toward her. How did they control you? She looked down. Her fingers traced symbols on her skin again. They used our names, our blood, our memories. They bound us with rules and rituals. We weren't allowed to feel or choose. Jackson frowned. You were slaves. We were tools, she said. And when? I broke my bindings. When I escaped, they marked me as cursed. Unclean. A threat. He shook his head. So they hunt you to silence you? Yes. Jackson stared out the window. And you can't go back. No. He turned toward her again. What do you want from me, Alara? I'm not a hero. I'm not a soldier. I'm just a man with a ship and a tired soul. She reached for him slowly. Then let me give you truth, she said. You've only seen pieces. I want to show you all of it. He hesitated. What do you mean? Not words, not pictures. Full transfer. Memory to memory. You will live it just as I did? Will it hurt? Yes, she said gently, but only for a moment. Jackson studied her glowing eyes, and gave a single nod. All right, do it. Ilara leaned in, placed her fingers gently on his temples, closed her eyes. The world vanished. He was no longer in his body. He was her. He felt the cold floor beneath her knees, the sharp taste of metal in the air, saw tall robed figures chanting, a child's voice his own crying for help, a crystal needle piercing skin, energy pulsing into his veins, his mouth screaming, but no one listening. Then darkness, then training. Hours, days, years, lifting objects with a thought, bending metal, calling storms, all while being watched, judged, silenced. Then the girl, a younger one, afraid, crying in the corner, just like he had once cried. They took her too, but something snapped inside. Anger, fire, a blast of light, a temple wall breaking, guards falling. Escape. Running, always running, pain, isolation, silence. Until. Pim. Jackson gasped as he came back. His body trembled. Sweat dripped from his forehead. He looked up. Elar. I was still there, watching, silent. You lived through that? He whispered. She nodded. I felt everything, he said. The pain, the cold, the loneliness. And now, she said, you understand why I ran, why I can't go back, why I hide. Jackson leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. You were never a threat, he said. You were just used. I still have power, she said softly. Enough to destroy, enough to hurt. That's why I stay hidden. He shook his head. No, that's why you're stronger than them. She looked away, uncertain. He stood up, placed a hand on her shoulder. You could have wiped out that scout ship, he said. But you didn't. You chose to hide, to survive. I don't want to be feared, she said. I want to be free. Then I'll help you stay free. Her eyes widened slightly. Why? Because someone has to stand beside you, he said. And maybe I want to see who you really are without chains. Ilara closed her eyes, and for the first time, her glow faded. She wasn't running anymore. She was choosing. The ship floated in a hidden orbit above a dead planet. No signal, no traffic, no life. Jackson and Ilara sat together in the dim light of the freighter's control room. The silence between them was no longer heavy. It was peaceful, but peace doesn't last. The console suddenly beeped loud and sharp. Jackson leaned forward, tapping the screen. A private transmission blinked to life. Priority message from Council of Vaith 2, Vessel Cole's Mercy. Human Registry 498 AC. We know who you shelter. Hand her over within the hour, and you will receive 200,000 credits, a full pardon from all past smuggling charges. Guaranteed protection in Council systems. Refusal will be seen as an act of war. Jackson stared at the screen. He didn't blink, didn't breathe. Ilara said nothing. She only stood beside him, eyes on the words. They really want you back, he muttered. She nodded. They'll promise anything. Say anything. Are they lying? He asked. She turned toward him. No, they will pay you. Protect you. Erase your record. He looked at her. But only if I'm dead, she said. He leaned back in the chair. His heart was pounding now. 200,000 credits. A clean name. A way out of the shadows. Out of the cargo runs. Out of this life. It was everything he once wanted. And yet, he looked at Elara. She didn't beg, didn't flinch. She only stood there, waiting for his answer. Not with hope, but With dignity. They'll find us eventually, he said. Yes. If I don't turn you in, I become a target. You already are. He stood up slowly. Walked to the window. Outside. The stars glowed quietly. You said you'd give me. More than they ever will, he whispered. I will, she said. But not safety. Not riches. Not freedom. No, she replied. Then what? She walked toward him gently. I'll give you truth, loyalty, a bond that doesn't break when things get hard. And I'll stay with you through all of it. He turned to her. Why? Me? Because you saw me? She said, when no one else ever did. A moment passed, then Jackson chuckled. You know, I could have sold you out back on the station and made less trouble for myself. She nodded. But you didn't. He turned back to the console, pressed a button. A message box opened. He typed, response, nitrogen monoxide deal. Transmission terminated. He hit send. The console blinked red. An alert appeared. Warning, enemy signals locked. Council ship approaching. Jackson sighed. Well, he said, turning toward Alara, now we really have a problem. She stepped forward, calm, strong. I can help. You escape, but I need you to trust me completely. I already do. She reached up, placed a hand on his chest. I can boost the ship's speed, create a false trail, bend the energy around us. But the cost is high. What kind of cost? My strength, she said. I'll be weak after. Maybe for days. Maybe longer. Jackson paused. And if I say no? Then we fight, she said. Jackson smiled. Let's not do that. He pointed to the cockpit. Do your thing. She stepped forward, closed her eyes. The walls of the ship began to glow. Every surface shimmered. Energy pulsed through the metal. Jackson watched the scanners. The enemy ship was close, now seconds away. Almost there. Alara whispered. A loud hum shook the ship. The lights flickered. Jackson's screen blinked white. In silence. They were gone. The ship had disappeared from the enemy's view. Jackson looked at the scanner. The council ship floated in space, confused. They can't see us? He asked. No, she said. Not for now. He exhaled slowly. She stumbled suddenly. Jackson caught her. Alara? Her eyes fluttered. Her skin had dimmed. The glow was fading. You did it, he said. You got us away. She smiled weakly. I told you, I'd give you everything. He carried her to the back room, wrapped her in a thermal blanket, placed a small cup of warm liquid in her hands. Rest, he said softly. She nodded, and for the first time since he met her, she slept without fear. Jackson Cole stood at the edge of the engine room, watching her sleep. Alara lay still, wrapped in a thick blanket, her breathing soft but shallow. The glow in her skin had dimmed. Her light, once so bright, was almost gone. He checked the ship's systems again. Life support was stable. Fuel low, but manageable. Stealth field still holding, but none of it mattered now, because the council was coming back. Harder, faster, with more firepower. Jackson turned on the long-range scanner. A fleet, 4 ships. Not scouts' warships. He stared at the blinking red dots. They weren't here to make a deal. They were here to finish the job. He walked to Alara's side and knelt beside her. Alara, he said gently. She opened her eyes slowly. They found us, he said. She nodded once, weakly. I used to. Much, she whispered. My strength needs time. We don't have time. She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. Her energy was drained. Her hands trembled. I can't protect you, she said. Not like this. Jackson shook his head. You already did. Now it's my turn. She looked up at him, worried. You can't fight them. I can try. She took his hand suddenly, gripping it with what little strength she had left. "There's another way," she whispered. "But it's dangerous. For both of us." Jackson looked into her eyes. "What is it?" "A fusion," she said. "Parked. Of me into you. Our energy, our thoughts, our strength. Combined." His heart skipped. "You mean become like you?" "No," she said softly. "You'll still be human, but stronger, connected, changed." He didn't speak right away. Elara's voice was quiet. "It's not just power, Jackson. It's a bond, deep, unbreakable. If you accept it, there's no turning back." He looked at her dot, then at the scanner. The fleet was only minutes away. He took a deep breath and nodded. Double quotes, "Do it." Elara sat up slowly, pulling herself together. Her hands glowed weakly. She placed one hand on his chest. The other rested over her own heart. "Close your eyes," she whispered, "and let go." Jackson obeyed. The moment he did, light exploded inside his mind. Not blinding, but beautiful. He saw memories. Her childhood. The temples. The pain. The escape. He saw his own life, too. The loneliness. The drifting. The quiet need to belong to. Someone. Then everything blurred into one. Pain shot through his chest. Heat poured through his arms. He gasped, but didn't pull away. He felt her inside. Him. Her strength. Her fear. Her love. And then silence. He opened his eyes. Everything was clear. Colors were sharper. Sounds deeper. He could feel the ship's hum. He could feel her still inside him, alive, resting. "Elara?" he said. She opened her eyes. "I'm here." "You gave me everything," he whispered. She smiled. "Now use it." The ship shook violently. Blast had hit the outer shield. Jackson ran to the cockpit. He didn't need to check the controls. He felt them. The ship was part of him now. The next missile came fast, but he moved faster. He twisted the freighter, dove into the gravity well of a nearby moon, used the pull to slingshot upward. 2 warships followed. He extended the energy shield, not from the ship's system, but from inside himself. A wave of shimmering light expanded outward, bouncing one missile into space. Jackson grinned. "You should have left us alone," he whispered. The last ship locked onto him. Elara's voice spoke inside. His mind. "Guide me." He closed his eyes and raised his hand. A pulse of light burst from the ship's core, pure, blinding energy striking the enemy vessel like lightning. It spun, damaged, and retreated. The other ships followed. They were fleeing. They had come to kill a fugitive. They found something far more terrifying. Jackson floated in silence after the battle. The stars returned. The scanner cleared. They were alone again. Elara sat beside him, her body still weak, but her eyes full of light. "You saved us," she said. "No," he replied. "We saved us." He reached out and took her hand. She looked down at their fingers, now glowing faintly together. "You're not just a pilot anymore," she whispered. "And you're not just a weapon." They both smiled, not because they were safe, but because now they were together. The war was behind them now. The stars felt quiet again. Jackson Cole leaned against the doorway of his ship, barefoot on warm stone. The small moon where they landed was untouched. No cities, no systems, no ships. Just sky, wind, and silence. The freighter sat nearby, its hull dented and scorched, but still running. Behind it, a slow river curved between fields of blue grass and soft glowing trees. Above, twin moons hung in a purple sky, and by the water, she stood. Elara. She had taken off her cloak for good. Her silver skin caught the fading light. Her long white hair floated in the breeze. She was barefoot too, her feet in the stream, Her eyes half closed as she listened to the wind. Jackson walked toward her. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. He sat beside her on the riverbank, their shoulders gently touching. "I've never seen a place like this," he said. "I used to dream of it," she whispered. "A place where no one was watching. No one was afraid. Not even me." Jackson nodded. "You know," he said after a moment, "they're still looking for us. Somewhere. Out there." "I know. They'll never stop. They won't have to," she said. "I'm not going back." He looked at her dot, and for the first time really saw her, not as a fugitive, not as a weapon, not as a mystery, but as someone complete, someone beautiful. "I used to think I was broken," he said quietly, "running cargo between dying colonies. No home, no future, just floating." "You weren't broken," she said. "You were waiting. For what?" "For me." They sat in silence again, and she turned to him. "There's something I haven't given you yet," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "I thought you already gave me everything." "No," she said softly. "Not everything." She reached out, touched his hand. He felt a warmth spread through him, but not the same as before. Not energy. Not power. Something older. Deeper. She leaned closer. "My real name," she whispered, "is Syria Lewinth." The name echoed through him, not as a sound, but as a memory. It was her true name, one only shared once in a lifetime. It held her story, her soul, her heart. He swallowed. "It's beautiful." "It's yours now," she said. "No one else will ever know it." He didn't speak for a moment. He COULD T. Then finally he whispered, "Thank you." She looked into his eyes and smiled. That night they built a small shelter from old ship parts and stone. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. She lit the fire with a thought. He cooked rations over the flame. They laughed. For once, without fear. Jackson looked at her across the firelight. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Leaving?" "No, choosing me." She tilted her head. "They offered you everything. Safety, power, a clean name. I didn't want any of it," he said. "Not once I saw you." She leaned closer. "You could have walked away." "I couldn't," he said, "because you looked at me like no one ever had, like I mattered. Not because of who I was, but because of what I chose to do." She reached out, touched his cheek. "You chose me," she whispered. "I still do." Their hands met, and for the first time in both their lives, they felt whole. Later that night, they sat wrapped in the same blanket, watching the moon's rise. Soft wind moved the tall grass. The stars above blinked slowly, no longer cold, but watching. He looked at her. "Do you think we'll ever be found?" "Maybe," she said. "But if they come, they won't find the same people they hunted." He smiled. "No, they'll find something stronger." She rested her head against his shoulder. "They'll find us." *The end.